Hi, this is Amanda from My Office Books. So we're coming live from my office today, and I'm going to be speaking with you about a subject that's very dear to my heart, and that's scheduling yourself to do your own bookkeeping regularly. Now, as I know, as a small business owner, you are very, very busy. And the last thing you want to think about at the end of the day, when you've had conferences and speaking with your clients and doing updating other things that you have to do as a business person, particularly if you're a mum and wife as well. There's so much on your plate. So how do you go about ensuring that you're doing your bookkeeping regularly? Particularly if you're a tradesperson who's very physical all through the day. I know the last thing you want to face is a beer and your bookkeeping. So let's have a look about understanding the reasons behind why you should regularly bookkeep. So the first thing is, I believe if you're earning less than $75,000 a year, you really should do your own bookkeeping. Now, I believe this for a number of reasons. Basically, so that you can get the understanding of the income and your expenses. Because the one thing that you don't always understand as a small business person when you have a bookkeeper do your expenses is where you spend all your money. And the biggest thing I hear from tradies is, where is the money? So that's one of the reasons. It also, you need to understand your cash flow. Cash flow is a living, breathing thing. If you can see by your bank balance that you don't have enough to pay your bills, it puts a fire in your belly to get in and do that invoicing. So there's a lot of tools I would recommend that you look at using. And number one is definitely cloud technology. There's really no excuses in this day and age, whether you be a baby boomer like my husband, whether you be a Generation X like myself, or if you be part of the millennial group. I would presume a lot of you are already using technology to save yourselves time and stress. So how do you go about setting up a regular routine to do your bookkeeping? Well, I've actually written an article back in May about this very topic. So how do you keep on top of that bookkeeping? You need to book it in just like you would a client, with a no excuses approach. So you've got to also find what works well for you. Now, if you're technology savvy, then what you should do straight away is go onto cloud technology, where you should go ahead with Xero or My Essentials or QuickBooks, whatever accounting program works for you. Now, there's a lot out there. There's Wave, which is free, but it is very limiting as to what reports you can have. But it's okay for something to start up with if you don't actually want to pay for a monthly subscription or pay a bookkeeper or an accountant to set you up. Now, I wouldn't advise for you to do your own setups, and there's 3 reasons for that. The first reason is that you have no idea what you need to have in a chart of accounts. Now, a chart of accounts is basically the foundation or the backbone of your bookkeeping system. In that chart of accounts, you've got your bank accounts, you've got your equity, what you've lent to the company, and also what the company owes you back. You have in there all your income, and you work out what income streams you have. You might like to track it and see where you're getting your customers coming from, whether they're from word of mouth, or if you're part of a BNI group, or if you want to see how Facebook's working for you. You may want to track where your revenue and your referrals are coming from. You might work with a real estate agency or agencies and want to know how much work each of those real estates are giving you. The next thing is you want to know about your expenses. And these are all the things that you can find and discover in your chart of accounts and also through tracking, which is another element of your reporting. Now, many of you in trades, real estate investors, and general startups, you won't have any idea what I just said. And you are the ones I'm speaking to where you should really get a bookkeeper, because they are a little bit cheaper than an accountant, to set your books up correctly. At least do the setup for you, and then give a little bit of training so that then you can do your own bookkeeping. So once you've got that sorted out, what you should do? Well, you should definitely upload the apps as part of any of these accounting programs onto your smartphone. If you are not really good when it comes to doing data entry and really hate sitting down and doing work, then it's a great idea for a small cost to incorporate an application that works with your software. Now, Receipt Bank will work with MyOb Online, Xero, and QuickBooks. And why this is a great application to look at is that for $33 a month, which is 50 receipts, you can actually have that set up for you so that you can click on a photo on your phone and that gets coded and feeds into your software program, and you won't have to do any data entry. So for many of you, this is going to save you hours or days of work. It also then gives you that incentive, if it's only going to take you 15 or 30 minutes a week, to sit down and book in as an appointment to actually do your accounting. Now, I know some tradies that grab themselves a beer, or some women who actually grab themselves a glass of wine, and they'll sit down in front of their computer and for 15 minutes to 30 minutes do what is called a bank reconciliation. And what is a bank reconciliation? It's checking to see what the transactions are in your bank account and then comparing that with your accounting program, and then making sure that you click off or process or add, depending on what accounting program you use, so that you can reconcile at the end of the month or the end of the quarter, however your bank statements come through the post or via e-statements, and make sure that your beginning balance matches your end balance that you see on that bank statement. So yes, there is a process here, but it's one worth actually getting into the practice of doing. And if you systemize yourself to actually do it in a routine basis, it doesn't become so overwhelming. So my article will go on to tell you what are some daily things that you can do. Now, some of the daily things you can do is check your bank account or your credit card balance, which is easy enough. You can do that on your app on your phone, or you can actually just go ahead online with your banking and check. You should check what clients have paid you, and then if you have like Xero, where you might have a reminder system, is close that off so that they don't get a reminder after they've actually paid you. And then you also should confirm when all your bills and expenses are due, because the last thing you want to do with a credit card payment is miss one day and end up being hit with the interest rates. So what about weekly tasks? Well, again, it's the same sort of situation, but what I'd recommend that you do is, if you haven't done any invoicing, make sure that you commit to invoicing every week. Now, if you're anything like my husband, he is absolutely hopeless. I have to shift money into the online saving account so that when he sees the actual statement coming in for the business account, he freaks out and he does the invoicing. Now, you won't think, wait a minute, he's got a BAS agent as a wife. It doesn't mean that he gets out of bad habits. So I do encourage him, by keeping the account very lean, to keep that invoicing up on a routine basis so we can pay all the bills. And also, at the end of the day, why have your customers use you as a bank? So it's very important that if you have an app such as QuickBooks or like Xero or even like MyOb, is invoice your clients while you're in the truck, while you're in your car, or while you're sitting at the cafe. You really need to keep on top of the invoicing and not let it build up like my husband quite often does at the end of the week or the end of the month. Monthly tasks. Now, this is where a lot of you should have 30 or 31 day accounts, where at the beginning of the month to the end of the month, you either get a e-statement emailed to your email account, or you'll get in the PO box or your letterbox your monthly business statement, whether it be your own personal account if you're a sole trader, or if you're a trust or proprietary limited. What do you do with that? Well, we discussed previously that this is where you make sure that in your accounting program, the beginning balance, when you put the dates in, matches that paper statement or that e-statement, and your closing balance matches. Now, why would you do that? You might think, I've got the bank feeds. What do I need to go and check the bank statement? Well, sometimes, like the National Australia Bank, they will miss international transactions. So you might find that the balance is actually out by $2.50, $5, $15, depending on how many international transactions you have, be it your business account or be it credit card. So then you're going to have to do a spend money transaction to get it to all balance. So this is really good discipline for you to make sure that when you get your bank statement, you book in time and you do that bank reconciliation, because this ensures that your accounts are completely accurate. And other times, which I've noticed with Commonwealth Bank as well as NAB, if they have a software program upgrade, they will miss an entire day of transactions. So you can imagine you could be really stressing out, wondering why your books aren't balancing. But it's so much easier if you check against your bank statement to ensure that you haven't missed any income, you haven't missed any expenses, so that if you are having to report on a quarterly basis with your BAS, or alternatively, if you're having to report at the end of the year, you're keeping on top of all those missing transactions. So you get every single deduction and you actually declare every part of your income. What about quarterly tasks? Well, quarterly tasks is where if you're GST registered, you'll probably have to do your quarterly BAS. If you aren't, then it's a good idea to still do a reconciliation over the quarter to make sure everything balances. Now, why would you do this? Again, for accuracy. And you might click into the reports to have a look at making sure that you've coded everything okay. You know, if you're using QuickBooks, MyOb or Xero and having the bank feeds come through, you can actually create a lot of rules within those bank feeds. So that can save you a great deal of time. So these online accounts are very clever that when you put in a rule, as soon as a transaction reflects into your accounting program, it's already coded for you. And if you're using Receipt Bank and you've taken the photo and that information feeds through to your account, well, then you're already going to have that matching up. So something that might take you on a weekend, if you get behind by 3 months, the entire weekend where you miss being able to spend time with your family, those days will be gone. If you use technology, you'll find that it only takes 15 minutes to 30 minutes a week at the most, and you're keeping on top. It's nice and accurate. And when it comes time at the end of the year to go and see your accountant, it should be more accurate. It also should make things easier for your accountant, and he should reflect that in the fees and charges that he gives you at the end of the year. So I hope that's given you a bit of an idea. I do have more extensive points in an infographic that's actually on my article. I will put down in the notes underneath my YouTube upload where my article is, so you can actually read through that and actually see in more detail what your daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly tasks actually are. I'm not going to put in your annual tasks here because at the end of the day, a lot of you will actually have your accountant put in such things as when you buy a new when you buy assets. So I would recommend that if you're using Xero per se, you can actually upload and put into the free file system in Xero all your bank statements. If you buy any one-off assets like your vehicle, anything like plant and equipment, you can pop that all there so that when the end of the year comes, you're not having to chase, oh my goodness, where have I filed that? Where have I put that documentation? And this is again where I say make things as easy as possible with your bookkeeping. So I hope these tips have been helpful for you. If you'd like to be able to contact me, you can contact me either by my website by clicking onto our resources, onto Xero, QuickBooks or MyOb and filling out your name, your contact details and your email, and I will get back to you, as well as being subscribed to our newsletter that's coming out in the new financial year on a regular basis. Alternatively, you can call me on 0423 463 721 and I'll be more than happy to have a chat with you and give you a no obligation quote. Now at the moment to the 30th of June, we are actually giving a 20% off all rescue work. So if you have found that you've really got very behind in your bookkeeping and mentally it's just too overwhelming, alternatively, if you haven't started on anything and you've got a whole year or maybe 2 years that you need done, we'll take advantage of this 20% off to the 30th of June so that you can get everything done professionally and thoroughly from myself and my girls in the office, and we'll be more than happy to help you. You can follow me basically by searching My Office Books. I'm on Twitter, Facebook, Google+, Instagram, but particularly you'll find me more on Instagram, where I have upbuilding sayings and also tips and tricks for bookkeeping and for business in general, or with Twitter. I love Twitter, and you'll soon find that out, or even Pinterest. So I'm going to finally say bye. Thanks for joining me, and I hope you got a couple of tips and tricks. Take care, everybody. Until next time. See ya.